if you have a job to do, if you have work to do, if you have a business, if you're managing people, the 80-20 principle is amazing in how you can be more effective in less time with less work. All right. Welcome. You made it. Part 4, the last part of our series. Now, if you missed part 1, 2, or 3, please go watch or listen to at least part 1 because that explains everything. Otherwise, you're just going to hear me talk about books and you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. But to give you a quick recap, I changed the way I read books because I was finding out that I was just reading and reading just to read and just to accomplish, but I was not using the information. I was not learning anything. It wasn't worth it. I was reading a lot, spending a lot of time reading, but it wasn't worth it because it wasn't making any difference in my life. And I realized recently, so I've been teaching my 7-year-old how to do multiplication tables. And so she asked me, Dad, I want to learn this stuff. How do I do it? It's like, well, you write them down and then you say them over and over and over again and you memorize. That's the way I knew how to do it. I was taught that way and that's what I taught her. And so she's been working on it. She's 7 and she got hers. She got the 1s, she got the 2s, she got the 5s, the 10s, the 11s. So now she's working on the 3s and the 4s and she's doing really great. But again, it's just reading it over and over and over again. That's kind of what I'm doing with these books. I picked out 12 books that make a big difference in different aspects of my life that I want to work on. I identified those areas that I wanted to work on first, and then I found the books that really help me and give me stuff to do and think about. And though I chose one book per month, that month I will read that book. Maybe I'll read it 2 times or 3 times, and then I will implement. And I spend the whole rest of the month implementing everything in that book. If I can, if I'm done with the book, or if I don't want to do any more, then I'll go on the next month to the next book, or I'll just keep working on that book if I'm making a lot of progress. So that's how it works. In parts 2 and parts 3, I went through 4 books each. So the first 8 books of the year I talked about. And I think if you are a reader, if you want to get better at your life, at different areas of your life, then those 2 parts would definitely be something that you want to go back and cover and do. And if you're not a reader, I haven't talked about this before, but all of these books are available as audiobooks. You can listen to these books. You don't have to just read them. You can listen to them. And there was something I read that, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it said that if you listen to the book while you are reading it, you remember it more. I have never tried that. I'm not big into audiobooks. I like reading. I like having the book in my hand. I don't even like the Kindle versions or the ebooks. I have a bunch, but I like the physical books. So all these 12 books, I have them physically. I try to get all of them in hardcover so they last, and I enjoy reading them over and over again. And every time I read them, I'm learning new things and I'm implementing again. And I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm in a different spot in my life every time I read them. It really helps. Let's go ahead and jump into the books here. This is a book. The first one is if things are going wrong, like if there's an issue, if there's a problem, if you're facing some kind of setbacks and you don't know what to do. The book is called Everything is Figure-Outable. That's the word. Everything is Figure-Outable. That's basically the idea behind the book. Now, the author, Marie Forleo, she's a great author. The book is well written, great stories, funny. She has a business that gears more towards women. So her products, the way she talks, everything is geared towards women. I thought I would be put off by that. It wasn't that big a deal, but I really liked the way she wrote the book and I liked it. Now, her other products, I didn't really resonate with, but I really love the book. I really love the idea behind it. And so I really recommend this book for people, for anybody that wants to have an easier time in life, just needs some encouragement. Everything is figure-outable. I mean, if you have that mindset, if you have that thought in your mind that no matter what problem I have, no matter what issue I have, I'll be able to figure it out. Somebody will be able to figure it out and I'll be able to get help and it'll happen and it'll be fine. Everything's going to be fine. If you have that idea in your mind, failure is not anything to be afraid of, because if it doesn't work out, guess what? We'll just have to figure it out, right? It's figure-outable. Nothing is impossible and that sort of thing. That was a great book. I really like that one. The next one is a thinker book. Not really a doing book, but it's a thinking book. Everything is figure-outable. It has some stuff in there that, if you have any challenges or whatever, it helps you work through them. This one is called the 80-20 principle. So this one is really good. It'll blow your mind if you haven't read it. If you don't know, if you don't understand how it works, this one will blow your mind. And really, it's Pareto's principle. It's 80% of your results come from 20% of your work. So it's about working smarter, not harder. In anything, saying even in nature, this formula somehow works. If you're in business, 80% of your profits come from 20% of your customers. 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your products. And then it goes even further. Then you have the 20%, and then the top 20% of the 20% bring in 80% of that. So you can go down and it gets really crazy. If you look at it in terms of results, if you look at it science, health, all these issues, or 20% of the food you eat gives you 80% of the nutrients. All the other stuff is just junk that we're eating. You want to cut out calories, cut out the junk, and you'll still get all the nutrients that you're eating right now, but you'll eat 80% less. Crazy. I mean, there's so many different concepts that you can implement it. And the guy in the book, he goes through several different ones. Very smart guy, very intelligent. He gives you different examples of how to use it, and it'll really give you a different way to think. Like if you have a job to do, if you have work to do, if you have a business, if you're managing people, the 80-20 principle is amazing in how you can be more effective in less time with less work. And the subtitle of the book is The Secret to Achieving More with Less. And that's really what it does. You get to do more, you get to accomplish more, but it takes less time, less work, less energy. And that sounds pretty good to me. So that's why I read it. I get re-energized every time I read it. And then I apply it to different areas of my life. I'm like, okay, how can I do this? Okay, how can I apply this to how much time I spend with my kids? If I only have a certain amount of time with my kids every single day because I'm busy, they're getting older, how do I make the most of that time? If I know that I'm with them for an hour, but only 20 minutes or 10 minutes of that is quality, then how do I improve that? That's just one example, but there's so many different ways that you can incorporate that into your life. Read the book. It's really great, and it'll make things easier, faster, simpler in your life. Then we have called The Untethered Soul. Okay, so this one, it's not about accomplishments. This is not about life, psychology, anything. This is about your soul. It's a spirituality book, and it's life-changing. Realistically, the book is about focusing on hereafter. It's about focusing on your soul. It's about focusing on what happens to us and how we deal with pain, how we deal with issues, how we deal with life in general. And it's a deep book. It's a very, very, very deep book. But if you have any type of trauma, grief, self-esteem issues, anything of that nature, mentally, emotionally, that you are working on that makes you unhappy or just makes you feel like life is not all that, then this book will help you. It really makes you happier if you follow the instructions and follow the steps. This man who wrote this book, he has a couple other books. I suggest you read those as well. The first one, maybe before you read this one, is called The Surrender Experiment. It's his life story, an amazing, amazing story. He started off as basically a hippie that wanted to live in the woods. That's all he wanted to do. He wanted to live in the woods and he wanted to meditate. He had an experience when he was younger when he was meditating, and that's all he wanted to do. Just have that experience over and over and over again. But life had other plans, and so he surrendered to life, went with wherever it took him. He ended up starting a company that became $1 billion company. He was the CEO of $1 billion company. They had gone public, sold shares, did all this stuff. It's still around today. I mean, his whole story of how everything just worked out from having no money, really nothing, and just wanting to meditate all day in the woods to building up companies, multiple companies, helping thousands of people, employing thousands of people, building a massive company, going public, merging. Everybody in business, everybody on Wall Street knew this company. That's how big it was. And it was all started by this guy who he just wanted to meditate, but life had other plans. Life took him on that direction and he didn't fight it. And so that's the story he tells in that book, The Surrender Experiment. And then in this book, he actually explains why. And one of the things he talks about is how we all have the voice in our head. Like, why don't we have peace? When we're thinking, there's always a voice going on in our brain. There's always something. There's always thinking. There's always talking. Oh, you didn't do that right. Oh, this guy didn't like you. Oh, that guy cut me off. Oh man, it's too hot. Oh, it's too cold. It's too this, it's too that. Our brain is always going on and on and on and on. In this book, he tells us and he explains that we are not that voice. He does talk about meditation. He does talk about how to deal with certain things like grief and trauma and all these things, how to look at life, how to look at the beauty of life. And so if you have any type of those type of issues, if you're looking for, it's not a religious book. It has nothing to do with any kind of religion. It doesn't matter what religion you are, the book can help. And so that's why I bring it here. I mean, some people might have a problem with it, but it was game changing for a lot of people. Millions of people have read this book and many, many more billion people recommend it. So if you haven't read it, that's a really, really good one, but it is a a deep book. I read that one in November. It's towards the end of the year, my birthday time. I'm thinking of it's a relaxing period for me, usually November, and it's a celebratory period because November also has Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday because we actually see on one day everybody stops and actually gives thanks and being happy and grateful. And spirituality and the birthday, I'm a year older. It's like, oh, what's going to happen with me? All that kind of stuff. It all just comes together. And so that is the perfect time for this particular book for me. I really recommend that one a lot. Final book. Now, this is one that I was not sure if I was going to add, but this one is pretty cool. And I've read this book several times. It's called The Future is Faster Than You Think. Now, this book is going to be outdated and probably already is outdated. As soon as it comes out, this book was probably outdated. The thing behind this author, he's written a couple other books. He's written a book called Bold. He's written a book called Abundance. And then this was the third book. And then I think he's working on the next one. This particular guy, he is what they call a futurist. So he focuses on the technologies that are coming down the pipe. He looks at all the different technologies that people have been working on, and then he sees how they work together in the confluence and what could be possible. So in this book here, he talks, and basically it's how converging technologies are transforming business, industries, and our lives. If you don't know what's coming down the pipe in the future, if you read this book, it will blow you away. Most people, they look at what's wrong in the world. They look at all the negative. Oh, it's getting hotter every year. Oh, the politics are this. Oh, there's so much garbage in the world. Oh, people don't get along. Oh, there's so much war and tension and scarcity and all these different things. And this guy, he takes a different approach. He's like, if you look at it, if you look at the numbers, life has never been better for people on this planet. We're living longer. We're healthier. We have more food than ever. We don't have to worry about food. We have cars and food and entertainment at our fingertips. And there's so many things that we can be grateful for. So many things that are unimaginable just 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And the way that the future is coming, and he explains all the different technologies. He talks about flying cars, when they're coming, how they're going to get here. He talks about AI. This book came out years ago, way before ChatGPT and all the AI companies that are going crazy now. People have been working on AI for years, but it wasn't ready to be mainstream. Now it's actually coming to be mainstream. So all the predictions he made in this book are coming true right in front of our eyes. It's incredible. Some of those predictions have come true already. The other ones are going to be coming true. So if you want to know what the future holds for humanity, this is one of the books that is really, really good. And I said it's already outdated because there's a lot of things that's already happened, and there's more things that are happening now that he hasn't covered in the book yet. So maybe in his next book there'll be even more things. But this guy's on the cutting edge of technology. And so one of the things is that we're going to be able to live a lot longer. And he explains how. 120, 150 years old is doable. Maybe not for you. I don't know how old you are. Maybe not for me. I might live to 120. My kids, they might get to 200 because the technology is in the advancements in health and all this stuff is growing crazy fast. Just all the stuff that happened during COVID-19 time, the technologies that they came out with, the way they streamlined the processes, how everything became faster because they needed it to be faster. Health-wise, they made huge jumps. What used to take 5 years or 10 years before in health was able to be done in 5 months or less. It's amazing. Before, my doctor never even considered doing a Zoom call with me. And now that's the only way I talk to her. I haven't seen her in years. I see her on Zoom and that's it, because I don't want to go to her office. I don't want to sit there for an hour in the waiting room, then sit there in the cold room with the nurse that doesn't smile, see my doctor for like 10 minutes and then she's out the door. I got work to do. I don't have 2 hours to waste at the doctor. This is something that maybe I never thought about that would happen, but he predicted it in the book and it came true. This one, there's really nothing for you to do in this book. There's no work. So this is why I put it at the end of the year. It's inspirational. It makes me like, holy cow. This is the type of book that when I read it, I tell everybody about it. Like, hey, did you know about this? Oh, did you hear about this? And people are like, I don't care. Because it's like, okay. But for me, the future stuff, the technologies that are coming, they're really cool. I love this kind of stuff. When you're trading, and it's really passive trading, the idea is that we want to make money and have our money make more money for us so that we don't have to work. That's why it's called passive. We're not really doing too much work. And so what do you do with all that free time? Well, in the future, it's going to be a lot different than it is now. The time that we have is going to be way more fun. And we're going to have a lot more of it because you're just living longer. The advancements in health that are coming down the pike, organs, pig organs and transplants and this and that, and it's insane, the stuff that's coming. And they already have it. Everything he talks about in the book is already here. Nuclear power and how they use it, how they're cleaning the ocean and how they're turning salt water into fresh water and all this stuff. These technologies are here. They're not, maybe all of them are not ready for prime time, but with enough investment, they could be, and they could change the world. These type of technologies, these type of companies that that are doing this kind of research and stuff, they need investment. If we want to really make a big difference in the world, we want to leave it at a better place than when we got here, taking the money that we're making from trading and then giving back to the world, helping solve some of the world's problems would be a wonderful way to use your money. And so people ask like, oh yeah, I got this question today, like, how much money do you need? You keep trading, how much do you actually need? Do you do it for fun? Do you do it for greed? What do you do it for? And I'm like, there are so many things that I want to fund. There are so many things I want to bring to the world. And I don't have to be the one doing all the research and being the scientist and the technologist and all that stuff. But if I can help them by funding the company or by making an investment, then that's going to help my kids, my grandkids, my great grandkids, and on and on and on. Because I'm scared for them. I'm scared for future generations because I see the news too. I see things might not be getting better in all aspects, but then I read a book like this and I have hope. I have hope for the future. I have hope for technologies that are coming down the pike that will make things better. We're not going to just go crazy and everything's going to be so hot and nobody's going to get along and everything's just going to be a big mess. I hope that doesn't happen. And I do want to live to 120 years old. That's my goal. I want to live to 120 years old. And one of the things that this author says is that just don't do anything stupid. Don't do anything stupid to hurt yourself, because the technology in health, at least, is growing so fast. Even somebody at my age, which is at 46 years old right now, I will be able to live past 100 based on the technologies that are coming. As long as I don't ride a motorcycle without a helmet and crash and hit my brain, or have a heart attack because my cholesterol is too high, or fall off a roller coaster or something. I don't know. I don't really do something that's irreparable. If I'm older and I need a new organ, they'll be able to replace my organ. They might just be able to make an organ just for me with my own cells. If I have any kind of issues, they'll be able to fix it. They can't fix it now, but that technology is maybe 10 years coming or 15 years coming. Arthritis will be gone. Cancer, gone. All of these things. They have stuff that is working now that it can help, but it's not in the clinical trials yet, it's not finished with the trials, or it's still in research stages. It's a book that you don't have to read, but if you do, maybe just read it once. It's really cool. It's really inspirational, and it'll help you be a lot more positive. And so that's the one I read at the end of the year. It's not something that you really have to learn a lot from. I mean, you'll learn a lot by reading it, but you don't have to do anything, right? It's not an implementation book. So that's why I put it at the end of the year. And then when this author comes out with a new book, I'll probably replace this one with that one and read that one and see, oh, okay, what's the progress made since the last book? Now, because books take so many years to write, edit, publish, print, all that stuff, by the time the book comes out, a lot of the stuff is old anyway and outdated because of technologies changing so fast. But so as of right now, as I'm recording this book is still readable and awesome. But if it's not for you, again, this is one of those times that you can change it out with another book of your liking that you want to read over and over again. Now, you'll notice that I didn't put any religious books in here. I have one spirituality book, and I was even considering, should I put it in? Should I say it? Not say it? I said, no, you know what? I want to be real. I want to be transparent. This is the book I read. I think you should pick it up. It's very deep, very heavy, and it doesn't talk about religion. You'll be good with that, hopefully. If you want to add a religious book in there, feel free. Go ahead, add it, implement that sucker, because that'll be really good for you. That's the whole point. These books were to implement. These books are to read, to learn again and remember again, and to implement. And that's the whole point of it. Those are the 12 books that I read every year, and I read them over and over again, one book per month. And they really make a huge, enormous difference in my life. And I think if you do something similar to this, you will also benefit a great deal, an amazing deal. And it'll save you a lot of time because you won't have to read every other book out there in the sun. You stick the stuff that you want to work on, and then you just work on it and implement it, and life gets good, really fast. If you need an extra book, if you don't have one and one of these didn't make sense, you can always talk about passive trading. That's like my own little plug here. Okay. So you could put passive trading on the list, read this one over and over again, especially if you're not trading. If you're not trading, it's like, what are you doing? Why are you not trading this way? You need to read this way. You need to trade this way. You need to read the book again, get inspiration, do all the success stories and all the stuff about retirement and how it's crazy and how to make money selling options. And then just do it. Enjoy your life. And then you will be able to celebrate, and you can read all day. Just have fun, read all day. And that is the end. This was part 4. Again, there were 3 other parts, 1, 2, 3. Go check those out as well. If you started here, trade with the odds in your favor.